Okay, strong market for air cargo into 2027. Just on the routings of some of this trade changes that we've seen over the last year or so, whether you're talking about air cargo or container shipping, it seems like particularly out of China, and a lot of this probably relates to US trade policy, we've seen massive growth on routes into Latin America, into West Africa.
Mhm.
Do you see that continuing?
Yeah, I think that will continue because especially like for Mexico, in past years, I think a lot of factories, manufacturers already invested in Mexico. So once the production line already there, for sure the supply need to be follow up. So I think for this, this is some trend actually related with the U.S. China the trade tension in the past. That's the result leads to this. But for the Africa, I think it's more. It's not that much maybe related with U.S. It's just because of that doesn't matter e-commerce or those EV, they need to find some new market to boost their
It's a
revenue.
diversion in
Yeah,
trade away from the US market where it's been a bit softer.
yeah, as well. So that's how we see they put targets to focus on those emerging markets as well. Yeah.
So Chinese companies are being very adaptable. When we see this diversion, I mean, how much of this is, okay, this is like Vietnam's winning business, Mexico's winning business, or how much of this is Chinese companies are front and center and right behind all of these changes in the supply chains? Is the control still held in China quite often?
What we see is although the trade now is out of like Vienna and Mexico, whatever, but the manufacturers, those companies, still Chinese company. So most of those, let's say, the trade decisions still made by the headquarter in China. That's also how we see this kind of market trend actually is good for those Chinese companies because in the past maybe they just stay in China and they never think about to go international. But under this kind of pressure, they have to move into other countries for the production line. So yeah, you're right. Although we see a lot of trade is moving out of China, but certain percentage, I believe it's more than 50%. Those freight still managed by Chinese company. Yeah.
So Chinese companies aren't retreating for any of these markets as things stand, but you still see this growth of China plus plus plus.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the trade trend. Even there's no U.S. China those tariff tensions, I think there will be still the trend to go because the labor cost in China is getting higher for sure compared to other those Southeast Asia market. So what we see is those in China maybe it will still remain those like high tech, high value those production lines, and for those labor intensive products will be moved out of China to other countries. Yeah.
And just to finish off, Kathy, have you got any advice for shippers in the air and ocean markets as we move through the rest of 26 and into 27? What would your advice be?
I think it need to be agile and to always look into the market situation because nowadays the market is already not like when we just get into this industry, right? The peak season always have their traditional trend, but now all those peak season, slow season actually followed by some accident or like a black swan. Like this year, nobody knows that the Hormuz will get in that serious situation and then to impact the global supply chain. So I think now because it's always changing, so just need to close follow up the market situation and then to make the decision to decide the most suitable routes for the supply chain and for the most suitable countries to manage shipment.